to Foam to Fortune, the ultimate podcast for spray foam insulation industry. Whether you're a contractor aiming to take your business to the next level or a vendor bringing innovation to the market, this is the place where success stories are shared, insider tips are uncovered, and the industry secrets are revealed. Join us as we dive into the journeys of the spray foam pros who turn their dreams into thriving empires and discover tools and strategies to build your own path to fortune. Ready to elevate your spray foam game? Well, let's get started. Foam to Fortune, where innovation meets inspiration. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Foam to Fortune podcast. And today I have a special guest, Leonel Sanchez from Opulence Sales Management. And I can tell you, this is a unique guest. Leo has something that he does that I've never heard of anybody doing before. What's up, Leo? Tell us about what you do, man.
Yo, what's up, everyone? I'm Leo. So we currently run a sales management company, and how we work is we partner up with spray foam contractors to help them scale by building out sales teams for them. And how we build sales teams for them is under our organization, we'll recruit salespeople, train salespeople, and manage the entire sales process for spray foam contractors. And what we've done in this industry is we've gotten to a point where we can replicate the ability to sell to B2B clients to the point where we're doing 200, 300, 400K a month just off of cold calling, generating leads, pulling up to construction sites, and building relationships with builders that give us consistent work. And it's a unique model that I've never seen in this industry. And it has a huge gap because a lot of spray foam contractors know that they're great at spraying foam, they're great at installing fiberglass, but when it comes to the logistics of a sales process, this is something that a lot of people don't realize, that a sales process kind of puts you in a position where you have to learn to be an actor for your own company. Because as a salesperson, you're paid based on how well you get people to like you. So you kind of have to act specifically for the different personas you're interacting with. So what we've done for the spray foam industry is we have partnerships with companies that generate the leads for us. So for example, in the Nashville market, we have a database that tells us everybody that's building the moment they pull a permit, but not just the basic information that everybody has, but it tells us exactly who's building. And within that same software, it can tell us who owns the company, who the project managers are within the company. So when we start cold calling, we already know exactly who we need to speak to with every single building company in Nashville. And when you get the numbers, you're talking about 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 builders that work within literally just Davidson County. And when we're put in a position where we already know everybody we need to speak to, we really just start playing this game of copy and pasting cold calls. So you know how to cold call, and you'll just copy and paste that 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times a day, land 4 or 5 houses to go measure every single day because we have the data that nobody else has in the industry. So how we help spray foam contractors is we'll build out your sales team, we'll recruit the talent, we'll train the talent, and then we'll manage the talent as well. So every single week, there's accountability reports with every single sales rep. We have our commission and our invoice trackers to see who's paid, who hasn't paid. And we also manage everything from generating the lead to cold calling the lead to meeting the lead in person to measuring the square footages of the house and then presenting the proposals that we offer the builders. And that's in a sense, that's what Opulence Sales Management does.
Yeah. So you guys, when I started to interview Leo pre-show, I was a little bit confused, Leo. I gotta be real. Like, I was like, so wait, who are you selling to? And when I found out the B2B, so business to business, Leo is going out there, and instead of dealing with your residential people, your homeowner, he's going directly to the top, right? He's going to go land that GC, that builder, get that relationship with them so that you have not only one project that's coming down the pipe, you have maybe 20 or 30 or maybe, maybe more every year because you've developed this relationship. So you guys literally are going after the whale, at the beginning and not just the homeowner. Is that correct?
Exactly. So one thing I've learned is it takes the same effort it takes to close a small deal, like a 5K deal, a 6K deal, is literally the same effort that it takes to close a 30, 40, 50K deal. And even in some cases, I feel like closing a big deal is easier because especially in the B2B, the builders already know what they want. So it really comes down to a game where they're going to buy spray foam from somebody. Why not make it me? So it turns into a game where like your goal is to make that person like and trust you more than whoever they're using. And when you pair very clear communication, very professional when it comes to how we present our projects. We always name drop our clients that we work with. So we'll be like, yeah, we've done projects for Build Nashville, Cobalt Ventures, Sabia Construction in the Nashville market. Most builders know who they are because these are big builders. So the moment we drop that, like, hey, we work with, 30 of these super exclusive builders, plus here's photos of our projects. And when they engage with us, they're like, nah, this person knows what he's doing. But in a sense, it's not that we do or don't know what we're doing, but we're actors when it comes to being that sales. So we go into the conversation, whether it's a person that's a lot super straightforward, or if it's a person that likes just, having those conversations that take forever to get to the point. It comes into a process where anybody that you're interacting with, it becomes not even easy, but in sales, what a lot of people don't realize, and we've all heard of like Angie's leads. I'm sure we've all heard of them.
Oh yeah, they're horrible.
And there was one time that I got a cold call from Angie's leads, and then the cold caller immediately goes, "Hey, is this Opulence Interiors? That's a construction company that we also operate." And I'm like, yes, this is Opulence Interiors, but I immediately just hung up on him because from a person that knows sales, this person didn't take the time to find out even my name, what we do. He just found the phone number, a business name, cold called, and I hung up on him. And he called me like 5 hours later as well. And he was like, "Hey, I talked to you earlier. I'm not sure if the call disconnected or what happened." And I was like, "Oh no, yeah, I remember your call. And the call didn't disconnect. I hung up on you. And I can tell you why if you'd like to know why I hung up on you." And he was like, "No, you could tell that this person was kind of new into sales." And he was like, "No, yeah, like tell me, like I appreciate feedback. I literally just got this job like a week ago." And like, look, when you're doing a business partner, when you're creating a partnership and when you're building a relationship with the company, you're not building the relationship with the company. You're building the relationship with the decision maker within the company. So your goal is not to make a business deal with Opulence Interiors. Your goal is to get Leo to like you, because when Leo likes you, he's going to listen to what you have to offer. And in the game of cold calling, when people listen to what we offer, that's where you start giving out 2, 3, 4, 5 bids a day, because you know how to get people to continue to want to interact with you versus going into the cold call super, in a sense, like a noob, I could say.
Yeah.
And then dealing with a person that's like, "Man, I don't have time for this. Like, these builders are busy. They're dealing with phone calls. Sometimes we call builders, past working hours at 5 or 6 p.m. And if you call a builder at 5 or 6 p.m. and your call wasn't like, if you didn't build that rapport within the first 5 seconds of the call, you're like, "Bro, I'm with my family right now. Like, what are you even doing?" And you immediately get rejected. But when you go into a call and you know the principles of, in a way, like the subconscious reading, what we do is we'll go into a cold call pretending we already know the person. So, for example, if I'm dealing with Michael, I could be like, "Hey, is this Michael?" That automatically puts you're like who, like, this guy wasn't even sure who I was. This is definitely a cold call. I'm gonna hang up on you. Versus like, you're like, Michael, how you been? Like, Michael's gonna think that, like, who's this guy?
One of the homies.
Who is this guy? So he'll be like, "Yes." I was like, "Michael, hey, I saw that you guys were building a house on," and then I'll go into my script. And then he listens to what I have to pitch. And then when they listen to what you have to pitch, we're not selling anything on the initial cold call. All we're doing is like, "Hey man, like, all I want to do is get you over some numbers. If you like him, cool. If you don't like him, cool too." And then the builder then, of course, gets to decide who they use ultimately. But when we play this numbers game and we're sending out 5-10 estimates daily, you can kind of imagine after a month, you sent out 40 bids, at least 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people are going to hit you back.
Yeah, for sure. I think that some folks that are tuning in are they're gonna wonder about this. Like when you're sitting down across from the GC or the builder, is there a something that you do to focus mentally to build trust right out the gate, or is there any secret sauce that you always use in order to get that trust built almost immediately? You talked about it within the first 5 seconds of a cold call. You have to do this, but even once you get to the job site or whenever you're meeting the builder or the contractor, is there something that you try to do?
So in a sense, we really, from a sales process standpoint, I hate to say that what we do is very basic. And I feel like the reason why people don't see success and don't continue. So in sales, there's the biggest thing where it's like, what gets you results is that consistency, right? But what a lot of spray foam contractors is they're too busy running the entire operation. It puts them in a position where if they can sell, they'll only sell 5 to 10 hours a week. So that puts them in a position where, of course, if you're only selling 5 hours a week, it's going to take you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 months to be able to get the results compared to I'm going to be dedicating 40 to 50 hours every single week to put myself in front of as many builders as possible. So I feel like when it comes to building trust and rapport, there is like, of course, this, we've all read that one book that talks about the how to win and influence, that one, how to influence friends and win, something like that.
How to influence friends and
something like that.
Yeah.
But that book specifically, it always talks about how in the sales process, the most important thing is the person you're speaking to. So when we go into these conversations, we'll go in super basically, and then we'll go down essentially the same script that we use on a cold call. We'll use that same script in person. And I guess the reason why we do it why we're able to build rapport immediately is because we have memorized our script to the point where I can cold call with my eyes. Like I could be on a roller coaster and still be able to manage the cold call perfectly.
Yeah.
Because of how many times we've actually done it. So when we do pull up to a construction site, all we literally do is copy and paste our cold call script into in person. And then once he gives us the approval to measure, that's when I will go measure the house. If the builder is still there after, then I'll have some conversations, some small talk, if he's a project manager, how long you've been into project management, do you like it? What do you not like? And then just have a conversation about them and what they do. And then of course, the biggest thing, and I spoke to one company and it kind of astonished me how he told me he doesn't even know his clients' names. His biggest clients, he doesn't even know their name. He saved them as contractor with the house on 2-3 Street. and that's how they're doing it. And it's you don't even know your clients' names. The most important part of the sales process is you going into the conversation, knowing who you're speaking to, and then repeating their name back to them. In our cold call, we'll say, if I'm speaking to Michael, for example, I'll be like, Michael. And then he's like, yes. And I'll say Michael again. And I'm like, Michael, how you doing? And then we'll go into our cold call, but we'll say the name 2 to 3 times because in a sense, what the book says is the most important word for everybody is their name. So when you name drop their name, and I think we've all done that, when we're on a call with somebody and they name drop our name, it's we listen further, this is actually being directed to me. So we'll do a lot of, I hate to say the word basic, but it kind of gets to the point where for us that we do it every day, it is very basic because we do it so much. But I'll say what makes us win rapport immediately is I always go into my conversations, and this one sentence really changed it for me. It's when I used to cold call at the beginning, I was like, hey, do you already have somebody that you use for spray foam? And the question is obviously yes. What builder doesn't have subs for everything? So when we go into the call, I literally super laid back. I'm like, yeah, I'm assuming you have somebody that you use for spray foam. And of course the answer is yes. And once they answer that yes, it kind of puts you in a position where it sounds less salesy in the conversation because the first thing you said was like, hey, I'm assuming you already have some. You kind of pushed them back a little bit, but then you reel them back in like, hey, well, this house, I'm seeing the house right now on Greeley Drive. Would you be against me just measuring up the house and giving you a set of numbers? And if they say, even if they say no at that point, it's so like objection handling within this industry is really simple because you're not asking the builder for anything. All you're really doing is like, hey, if I measure the house, can you at least just take a look at the estimate, just 2 seconds of your time? So when a builder does give resistance, like, hey man, we already have a guy that we use for spray foam. I appreciate it though. I'm like, oh yeah, totally worries. I assumed you had somebody. This house, right, and not even like if we're objection handling, like I'm assuming this house right here, even before that's reward. So the builder tells me, no thanks, I already have my guy. What I'll do is like, that's totally fine. I don't want to take you away from your guy. All I want to do is measure up the house, get you a set of numbers. And in the event your guy is busy, something pops up, at least you have somebody else and you know what our prices look like.
I gotta be honest, pen and paper, it had a good run, but foam bid is the future. This episode of the Foam to Fortune podcast is sponsored by Foam Bid. This is the app that allows you to stop scribbling notes and to send bids instantly. No more guessing, no more undercutting your profits, and no more bidding jobs too high. Foam Bid allows you to hit the sweet spot every single time. So if you want early access, make sure you go over to foambid.co/beta.
And then when you tell that to the builder, he's like, no, well, yeah, I guess that's fine. Yeah, knock yourself out. And you go measure the house, you give him a bid. And it happened to me two or 3 weeks ago. I don't typically hunt for deals anymore because I'm taking care of the clients that I already have. But I was training this. We took on a different spray foam company where we're training his salesperson. So that day, the salesperson was shadowing me. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go into the field and I'll show you how I would look for jobs. And we pulled up to this one project and the builder's on site. And I was like, look, watch this. We get out of the car, we go to the builder, and they're like, hey, I saw you guys were building this house. I really just wanted to stop by and, and introduce ourselves. We do spray foam. I imagine you have somebody. And he's like, actually, we do. And on this project, we actually already have it contracted out. We know who we're going to use. And the builder calls me yesterday. He's like, yeah, I know I told you that we did have a guy, but I don't know why, but I want to use you on this house. And it was funny because I did it that day, but my intention that day wasn't to find jobs. My intention that day was just
train,
to show the guy, this is how we do it. Yeah. And it wasn't a big deal. It's 2 bad deals. I think they're like 6.5K each, but still that's 13K that came into the business off of kind of not messing around, but in a sense, my intention wasn't to land a deal. My intention was to show the guy, look, this is how we talk to builders. But that was one funny instance that literally yesterday, the builder calls me. Today, his project manager texts me that he wants me to meet him tomorrow at a different site. So it's something.
Oh man! So something that you see this often, where you kind of get your foot in the door, and then next thing you know, it snowballs.
In a sense, because I like a lot of people that get into spray foam sales don't make it because you have to go 3 to 4 months without seeing your results. Because you'll go measure a house that just got framed. They're still 3 months away from needing installation. So you don't know if you got the deal until 3 months later. So what we focus on to ensure results is, are you doing what you need to do every single day? And if you're doing what you need to do every single day, 2 to 3, 4, 5 months later, you'll be able to generate 100K literally within 6 months. I did it. I got into spray foam April of last year. And I had been doing sales 5 years, corporate setting. So in the corporate world, I kind of learned how to generate leads, how to cold call, everything, but I didn't know anything about the spray foam market. So I got into the spray foam market. I had a few people that told me like, yeah, you got to talk to the builders. And I was like, okay, cool. We'll talk to builders. And 3 months in, I'm like, man, is it me? Like, what's going on? Why am I not selling? And every single week I had been giving out 5, 10, there would be days where I measured 3, 4 houses and sent out 4 estimates to 4 different builders. And it was like, 3 months in, like, how am I not getting results? And you start comparing yourself to other salespeople. Like, man, nah, he did it because he's taller than me. Or you start getting into these little dumb things that that really have nothing to do. But the thing is, when you doubt yourself, like the moment you start doubting yourself, it's literally like you're breaking it. You're literally like you're about to hit, but like you're in that realm where like you literally all you need to do is continue to do the same thing one more month. And I had this conversation with one of my sales reps. This was we probably 4 or 5 months ago, and his name's Luke. And Luke was telling me like I could tell that he was frustrated, and he was like, bro, like I'm not seeing it. And I was like, look, bro, give me 30 more days because you've been doing everything that you need to do to get results. But I feel like the reason why you're not successful yet, it's not because you haven't been doing the work. It's just the sales process within our industry is a long time. And literally fast forward a month, he did like 95K the next month generated. Wow. Last month, I think he did like 75K last month. And he's been doing installation sales since March of this year. So literally less than 6 months, he's already done multiple 6 figures worth of revenue. And he was this close to quitting. He was literally about to quit. And I was like, no, bro, like you're literally there. And then right now I get these calls like, bro, this huge construction company is hitting me back now. They want me to bid this, and this for them. And then he has another project. Last week was his biggest week. And I think last week he did 55K. He had a 24K deal, another 24K deal, and like 2 small, like 4 or 5K bad deals and literally within 8 days of each other. And I remember just him telling me like, bro, I always tell him like, bro, because when he started cold calling, this is a person where like, if he cold called you, you'd hang up on him. I guarantee you, you'd hang up on him because I remember one of the calls, instead of saying subcontractor, he said subtractor.
Oh, God.
Because he didn't even know the terminology. But the reason I believed in him so much at the beginning was because not knowing anything about the industry, he still was putting himself in front of builders, even if it meant he had to look dumb. And he didn't care looking dumb. And in a sense, in this industry, you kind of have to go through that to be able to get to the other side.
Yeah, you have to go through the gauntlet, right? You know, it's like playing a video game. You have to go gear up. You have to beat the smaller bosses to get ready to go fight the big boss at the beginning, or sorry, at the end of the game.
So it's something that it's a fun industry. I think the reason why we see success within this industry is nobody on my team sees this as work. Like we don't wake up every day like, oh, we have to go to work. We wake up every day and it's like, oh, I get to talk to this super exclusive builder. I get to talk to this exclusive builder. Ain't no way this builder is hitting me back now. And it kind of puts us in a position where we wake up every day like fired up because we're already working with so many exclusive builders. So getting more, and it comes into just a points game. And it's like a lot of people say, oh, it's money. And money is a good way to see, oh, it's money. But in a sense, we're playing a game. And how much money you generate is essentially how many points you have and get. And we just make it our goal to get as many points as possible.
I love it. I love it, man. Such a unique idea behind this and how you guys are growing people's spray foam businesses. I'm curious, when you're quoting like large commercial or like the multifamily type of jobs, is there a certain mindset that you go in? Because obviously that can be a lot of pressure. Like, oh man, this is a huge job and I got to make sure it's right. Is there something that you do to prepare yourself, or do you treat those any different? I know you touched on like closing smaller residential jobs or just as easy as closing those big ones. Is there any advice that you'd give on the big ones?
I mean, it's really a sense of it's the exact same thing, because your goal is to get that person to like you. So from a psychological standpoint, it's the same thing. You're just basically your goal is just to get that persona to like you. But from a mindset standpoint, especially for people at the beginning where they're like, should I pull up the builders right there? But I'm nervous. And it's a lot of the times like you have to measure, what are my downsides? Like, what do I lose by approaching this builder? And what can I win by approaching this builder? And when you see that your losing side is literally like nothing, like, oh, well, he just tells me no, it kind of puts you in a game where like, well, that's fine. Like, if worst case scenario, I don't get the deal, but best case scenario, I land this one client that's going to generate us 300, 400K this year off of their projects. You kind of just motivate yourself by just thinking of the upside. And in sales, you kind of have to, as a sales leader, you have to sell the dream to your sales reps. And how we sell the dream to our sales reps is we have to show the sales reps that we have what they want. And when it comes to what they want, it could be as technical as, for example, having a cool car or having a cool truck or having just these basic things. And it's kind of sad that in this world that, oh, you have a cool car, you have a cool truck, I can automatically try. It sucks that it works that way, but it does work that way. So when you show your sales reps that like you're actually closing these multi 6-figure deals, it's like, man, like I want to be like Leo. And I've had my sales rep tell me like, bro, like especially when we were in transition phase, we were transitioning from one installation company to the other installation company. And in that transition period, we had about 2 to 3 months. We were kind of not lost. We still could get deals, but we were in a position where we know we're transitioning companies. Do I want to get this deal representing this company or representing the new company? So we kind of ran into this hurdle where we were, well, what I was doing as the business owner is I was setting up meetings with different spray foam contractors and seeing like, hey, can you accommodate the revenue we can add to your business? And I remember one of the cold call I made to our partner, it was funny because I cold called him and I told him like, hey, we're a sales management company. We're looking for a spray foam contractor that can handle an extra $2 to $3 million a year. And then immediately the guy told me like, look, man, like, is this marketing? And he kind of started like being resistive to like, and I was like, no, like we already manage a sales team and we're already doing multiple 6 figures in worth of sales. What we're doing right now is we're looking for a spray foam partner that has a minimum of 2 to 3 spray foam rigs that can handle a lot more volume. And we found their partner. Essentially, this was it was August 12th. If I'm not mistaken, it was literally 3 months and 1 week ago when we signed the agreement with them. And fast forward 3 months later, we're at 420,000 generated since we started working with this one company. And if you look at it from a valuation standpoint, we literally just came into this business and doubled their valuation. So if they were worth 2 million pre-partnering with us, now that we added, essentially last month we did 220K. Just last month we did 100K the first month, 100K, like we did like 120K our first month, we did 80K our second month. Last month we did 210, 215K. And it puts us in a position where we can go into your business and like double to triple not only your revenue but triple your valuation. So when you start talking about like scaling and how to open up multiple branches and these in a sense these loans that a lot of people get to buy more companies, it kind of puts us in a position where we already know what we need to do. And as long as we do X within your business, you're going to double to triple your valuation. Especially what a lot of spray foam contractors, building a sales team is something that it's an expensive thing to do. And a lot of spray foam contractors realize that it's an expensive thing to do, but a lot of people don't know, like, how do I find this salesperson? I'm good at finding workers, but I don't know how do I know if he's going to be a good salesperson? So now that we've been doing sales for a very long time, we can automatically look at people and be like, no, yeah, this person has it. This person doesn't have it. And we don't go off of their experience. We literally go down there, like, how's your character and what's your drive? And like, why do you want to be successful? Like, why do you want to generate multiple 6 figures? And they start telling you like these all their even sometimes it gets to a point where they'll tell you their insecurities. They'll be like, look, it's because we ran into these problems. And, you know, the reason why I want to be able to do X is because like, I don't want to not be able to provide for my family. And when you put yourself as a sales leader, your number one goal should be your sales reps goals. So what a lot of companies don't do is they don't sit down with their sales reps and create like, what's your goal in 3 months? How much do you want to generate in 3 months? How much do you want to generate in 6 months? How much do you want to generate in a year? Well, a lot of companies, they'll just hire the sales rep and expect them to handle everything. And the thing is, as a leader, the most important thing is your sales rep, because when your sales reps hits his personal goals, usually these personal goals have something to do with money and bringing in revenue. So if they're hitting their goals, you're also, as a business owner, you're also hitting your goals because he's hitting his micro goals. So when he hits his micro goals, you hit your macro goals, and it goes full circle when it comes to, you know, building up that salesperson. Create literally, like with my sales reps, I have a 12-month plan for him where like, look, for you to get to 10K a month, this is what you need to do every single day. And we have weekly coaching sessions with our salespeople. We find out what they're struggling with, what they need help with. If one week they have a bad week, we'll sit down with them like, hey, what's going on? Like, we'll literally like, hey, let's go to lunch tomorrow and let's talk about it. And we'll go talk to our sales rep, what's going on. And when you find out, oh, he's just going through a situation, or it's actually a mindset problem, we can then coordinate like, hey, like, let's do this. Let's go ahead and plan this. And then your sales rep does feel that same, in a sense, that reciprocity that like you care, I care about you. And when you care about your sales rep, he's going to care about you and your business. So it's in a way, I would say, I mean, it's going to be the biggest thing is your sales reps.
Yeah, for sure, man. And obviously, like you were saying, a lot of people don't really know how to get a sales team put together. They're, that's usually last on their list. And when they're trying to, pull themselves out of the company, a lot of times the owner is this, like the salesperson, right? They're the senior sales rep and they're trying to like act as a business owner, not actually working in the company. So I'm curious, what's the process? Let's say I'm a contractor that's in, I don't know if you're taking on any more clients in Tennessee, but let's say I'm in Tennessee. I'm looking to hire a sales team. What's that process look like, Leo, to work with you guys? I'm just curious if that's like, how does it look if I'm like, hey, I want to hire you guys? What's that look like?
Good question. So the biggest thing is going to be, are they fit for sales management? Because for you to acquire a sales team, it is an expensive thing to do. So if you're not already generating 100 to 200K a month, sales management probably won't be ideal for you. But what we'll do in the case scenario where, let's say you're that one guy where you kind of, you know how to do sales, but you don't know how to do it fully. What we'll do is we'll just show you how we run our sales process. Like, this is how we find our leads. This is how we cold call our leads. And then essentially just walking them through, like, let's go ahead and role play cold calling. You're going to pretend I'm the builder and we're going to go through it. And of course, at the beginning, we're doing literally nonstop, just role play, because like cold calling, what a lot of people don't realize is cold calling is literally a sport. And if you're bad at cold calling, like, it's not going to work. And that goes hand in hand with like, how well is your script written and how well do you sound on the phones? So what we focus on is how can I make you be the most confident person within your organization, not even within your organization, but within the market. And once we can convince the person, like, no, like, you have everything you need to do to be successful. And once they start seeing that, oh, I cold called this builder last month and he just gave me this $35,000 project, like, snap, let me do this again. And it kind of fires them up and they continue to just do more and more. And what I would even recommend is, first, as a spray foam contractor, you have two options. You can either figure out how to do sales yourself, or you have to hire somebody that already knows how to do sales and can manage it and can manage the process for you. So if you're a contractor and you don't really know how to do sales, we first have to find out, do you even have time to dedicate to sales? Because if you don't have time to dedicate to sales, there's no point in me helping you, because you're going to be doing the same. You're going to dedicate 5 hours a week to selling, but you're only going to get 5 hours worth of results compared to you hiring, let's say, you being fully dedicated to sales. You're doing, 40 hours a week of literally just nonstop cold calling, generating leads. And then we have this term in the industry where we have selling hours and then non-selling hours. So selling hours are between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. typically. Non-selling hours is where we focus on bidding, generating leads for the next day. So what we'll do is we'll coordinate our day where selling hours are exclusively for selling, and everything that's outside of selling hours, that's when you can work on your bids, your blueprints, and everything there, so that you can have that maximum capacity where you can just continue every day. As long as you do this, you get this result.
Yeah. So let's say I am a contractor. We're doing over 100K a month. I'm going to put you on the spot. I know that we didn't talk about this pre-show, but what's the investment that I'm looking at to work with your guys' company? Like, can you give me a ballpark figure so that, because I know that people they're wondering this, right? They're like, hey, man, it all sounds great, Leo. I'd love to hire you, but what are we looking at? Number one, cost wise. And do you have any sort of numbers as far as like what your like average person has on their return back? Is it 5x? Is it 10x? Is it what's it look like? Do you know if you had to take a shot? Did you know that the smartest tool in your truck is not your spray foam gun, it's Foam Bid. Yeah, this episode is sponsored by our friends over at foambid.co. This app finally makes bidding simple. Forget guessing, forget overbidding, and forget losing out on jobs because you made mistakes. You look sharp, you look ready to win, and you look professional. So go over to foambid.co/beta to get access to the new app that's about ready to launch. We'll see you there.
So from an investment standpoint, it's pricey because it depends. If we're going to help you remotely, of course, it's going to be a lot less. But remotely, we haven't taken on any remote clients for the same reason that, like, I'm not going to do all of this remotely. So if somebody were to do this, I would fly out to their location, figure out the sales process within that market, get our AI company to build out a specific software for that area. And that what that software does, it pulls all the permit data. So what we'll do before even moving forward is we'll request the sample data from our AI partner. They'll give us sample data of like, okay, we have a company in Fort Myers. I request, hey, can you give me a small list of builders in Fort Myers? Then what I do is I look at that list and I'm like, how detailed is this list? Can I actually get good data and make efficient cold calls off this list? And if the answer is yes, then we can go ahead and move forward. Like, okay, typically investments is anywhere between 7 and 15K a month is typically what you're looking at, because we have to manage payroll for the sales reps as well. And we have to train them, pay training, base pays. So we have to provide all of that to the sales rep as well. So with our fee, we have the sales management fee, and then we have an add-on fee for like, how many sales reps do you want? And if we're in a position where the company might be doing 100K a month, it's like, look, I wouldn't recommend you hiring 3 people. Let's just do 1 person. Once that person is trained up, we can then look for the next person and then scale accordingly depending on the volume of work we have and how much revenue is coming in. But typically, you're looking at anywhere between 7 to 15K a month. From a return standpoint, I mean, it's anywhere between 5x and 10x. So for example, the company that we're helping right now, I mentioned that we're at this point, 3 months, 1 weekend, we're at like 420, 430K generated. And from an investment standpoint, let's say they're investing 10K, they're essentially, we also do a rev share as well. So there is a sales management fee, and then there's that rev share. And that rev share takes care of the commissions of the salespeople, and there's also like an override fee that goes towards the sales management company. So we'll do a rev share plus a base management fee, and then we'll go into the business. The only way we would accept the client now is if they'd be willing to have me go there locally, because not that we can't guarantee results, we can. I mean, a lot of the cold calling that we do is all remote. So for example, what it looks like in our case is I'll have a meeting, not even a meeting, but I'll have my sales rep, we're going to meet up at X location, and we're just going to hammer the phones for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. And then off of that, we could literally, in 2 to 3 hours with the data that we have, we can generate 5 to 10 bids to go 5 to 10 houses to go measure and bid on. So when we do that, it puts us in a position where we know we can do it remotely, because all we do is we literally just cold call them, and we can do that from anywhere. So in a sense, it can be done remotely, but the only way we would accept a sales management client right now is if they'd be, of course, not willing to fly. Because I mean, of course, if I'm flying out to them, it's a little bit more pricier as well. So they have to be comfortable with having a professional go into their market. All right, I'm going to be selling in your market. I have the best data. I know that I know how to cold call. I know that I know how to talk to builders. So I know that essentially from a universal standpoint, it's the same thing. Like how you build a relationship with Tennessee is probably going to be the same thing in Florida. Of course, you know, you go up to New York and these northern states, it might be a little bit different because of the northern people. But in a sense, it's really the same thing, because whether it's New York, Florida, California, there's always 10, 20, 40, 50 builders that are actively looking for a new spray foam concrete. They're actively looking for a new drywall guy. They're actively looking for a new. So when you go into your cold call and you coincidentally call the builder, because what we work on volume. So we're calling 20, 30, 40 builders a day. I can guarantee you that most of them already have their guy, but there's a good 10% of them, 15% of them that need a spray foam partner. So when you go into your cold call and they need spray foam at the exact same thing you cold call, it becomes a very easy game of just calling as many people as you can. And of course, to call as many people as you can, you need the data set, because if we're doing all of this traditionally, we rewind traditionally, it's a lot of driving around looking for construction sites. So if you're on country back roads, you might only find 1 or 2 construction sites in your entire day, versus let's say you're in Nashville, you might find 4 or 5 construction sites a day, maybe more in Nashville, probably more. But when you have the data set and you can literally just sit down and within 3 hours, you reached out to 50 different builders, it puts you in a position where like you're destined to give out bids. Especially when you know objection handling and you come off not salesy whatsoever, which is what we do. We go into the call like, hey man, like would you be against me measuring the house? And it's like, no, yeah, man, knock yourself out. Just text me the bids. Perfect. Do you guys do all foam or bats, or how do you guys do it? Oh, we do foam ceilings, bat walls, encapsulated crawl space. Perfect. I get that information. I send them their bids, send them photos of projects we've done. We tell them we work with 5 to 10 exclusive builders within that same thing. Let me know if you need any referrals. It kind of puts us in a sense where they already know that we're professionals because we already work with their friends. Because and a lot in this industry, they're all like, this builder's friends with that builder, friends with that builder. So it kind of gets you to a point where when it comes to the referrals and recommendations, it's beautiful because we're only targeting contractors. So when contractors refer you, they're not referring you to a homeowner that needs blown in attic again, which is going to be a 3, 4, 5K deal. They're referring you to their buddy that does multi-million-dollar projects. So from a referral and recommendation standpoint, you're only getting recommended to builders. So that helps you on the long term. But I would just say, if we were to take on a client, all we would need to do is like, hey, are you at the capacity to scale? And if you are, hey, here is what the costs are going to be. And being fully transparent with them, like it's going to take 3 to 5 months for you to get results. So are you willing to cough up this investment? Because if we look around, every multi-million-dollar spray foam company, and not even multi-million, but when I'm saying multi-million, it's like any company that's doing at a minimum of 3 to 10 to 15 million. There's a universal thing. They typically 95% of them have salespeople. Yeah. So you're kind of put into a position where like your only option to scale is to recruit salespeople. And as a contractor, the reason why we're good at it is my background is corporate. And as we know, corporate, everything is tracked. Everything has KPIs. There's SOPs for everything. We implement everything that I learned in corporate from, these billion-dollar companies. We literally just incorporated into these smaller, multi 6-figure companies. Maybe they're 7 figures, barely 7 figures. And it works. Why? Because if a $1 billion company is tracking everything, there's a reason why they got to $1 billion. And it's because they're tracking, they're seeing what needs to be improved, what's doing good, what can we do more that's going to give us more results. And when we have everything in reporting, it makes it simple. And the way that we guarantee the builder, the client, like, hey, this, like, we're working is every single week we give a report to the client, like, hey, this is how many bids were sent out. Here's all the PDFs that we sent out to builders. So when our client, the installation company, is looking at what we're doing, they're like, oh snap, like these people are actually sending out 20 to 30, 40. Essentially these people are pushing my brand to 20 to 30, 40 builders a month, 50 builders a month. So you kind of put in a position where like, there's no way you're not going to scale putting your brand literally directly in front of a builder. And, that brand is on the PDF estimate,
Yeah, for sure. Leo, thanks for answering that question. I know I kind of threw you on the spot there because we hadn't discussed that, but I think it's important for somebody that's listening to this, like, obviously there's more to what you do than price. Obviously there's a ton of value. I do know that what Leo does works, not from what he personally does, but I want to tell you a quick story. I had a conversation probably 2 years ago with a spray foam contractor that's in Dallas. And I got on the phone with him. He told me his name, or his company's name. And so as I'm on the phone with him, I'm looking, because of what we do with marketing, I want to see what his website looks like, what his Google business profile looks like, and looking at the assets that he currently has. And he has none of it. And so I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is not an ideal client for us. I said, so I'm just curious, like, what are you guys going to do this year? And then he says 17. And I there must have been the longest pause ever, Leo. Like I was like 17. Like, what's he? Is that
million? It's gonna be 17,000.
17. Like that can't be 17,000. Like, and I said million. He's like, yeah. And I said, oh my God, like how are you guys going to do 17 million and you don't have a website, you don't have a Google business profile? Exactly the method that you guys do, except him and his guys, when they're in the Dallas market, whenever they're driving to the next spray foam job or whatever the case is, if they see a builder, they literally will pull over and they will talk with the supervisor or, you know, the GC or whoever's running the project and just have conversations with them. And it's similar to what you're doing. And I haven't heard of this actually outside of this one guy of doing it until today. And obviously, Leo, you have a lot more data. You're sitting here talking about, you know, how many deals that you guys have landed, even in a short period of time with this new company you guys took on. So I do know it works, and I do know that is where you should be focusing if you own a spray foam company, is on the commercial side of things and developing the rapport and the relationships with the builders and the GCs, because those folks are going to feed you for years versus that one homeowner there you land that you're just one and done. Yeah, they might refer their relative or their friend or their family, but it's that, you know, developing the one relationship, which takes just as much time as developing a relationship with your homeowner. You develop it with the builder, and now you have that constant you know, referral partnership coming through. Do you agree with this? Obviously you agree with this because this is how you built your company.
It's funny that you say that, because this AI company that was helping us with the software, they did that, what you just said. They looked at our online presence. They saw that we're fully offline. So the revenue that we did last month, we added 200K to their business, but the installation company also did 100 to 200K off of their own deals. So we essentially did 400K last month off of our deals. And if you look us up, there's no SEO. There's nothing. We're fully offline. And my friend was like, bro, like, how are you doing this? Because there's nothing. You guys don't even have an Instagram. Like, I did find the website, but I had to specifically look for the website. I had to scroll down. Like, if you look up installation near me, we're not even on there. Like, we have no reviews. We have nothing. And he tells us, like, bro, it's crazy because you're doing this solely off of trust. Like, whatever you're doing is winning the trust of builders. And you've kind of gotten to the point where, like, your company is fully offline. And it's funny because our trucks also they're not wrapped either. Like, we literally have no branding at all. And we're able to put up big numbers, but because we focus on just, you know, I'm the brand. Like, I'm the person that you can trust. And when you go into the conversation and the builder gets that reading off of you that, like, oh no, this person's not here to sell. Because I've seen conversation where people immediately sell. They just learned the guy's name. Like, hey man, I do this. Like, do you guys have any events coming up? I would love to. And it's like they immediately go for the sell versus me. I'll just, like, hey, super like casual, like, hey, like I can give you a price. Like, it's up to you. And when they get that energy that, like, I don't care if I sell to you or not, because I mean, I'm at a point where I have enough builders where, like, I'm so unattached to sell because I already know I'm making a dent within the Nashville market. Like, last, like, 4 months ago, I got recognized in front of like 400 builders in the Nashville market. There's this one guy in Nashville that he sells coaching on how to get into building. And he literally walked me, because I used to work with the builder directly. Like, I was doing their wholesaling, like, their acquisitions. Like, this was years ago. And now the guy, he probably does, you know, 20, 25 projects a year. Some of them are $1 million projects. So he's probably doing, you know, $15 million, $20 million of builds a year. And he puts on these seminars. And he essentially, what he did is he put me in front of 400 to 500 people. And it's like, this is Leo. He takes care of all of our spray foam. And it's funny that Leo, he actually worked with us at some point. And he was telling me that, you know, he invested into this mentorship program, that sales training. He trained with this guy. And I mean, when it comes to my sales, and like, I've probably invested 30 to 40K in just mentorship programs, seminars, trainings, and stuff like that. And I remember him telling that people. And then it's something where, like, I'm in a position where I'm very well known in the Nashville market. So it puts me in a position where any conversation I have, like, I literally don't care if I get you as a client, because I'm already working with 30, 40, 50 other builders that are, like, actually super exclusive. So, like, it puts me in a position where any conversation I go into, I'm super unattached, because I don't really need the sell at this point. And when you don't need the sell, it kind of puts you, like, in a position to win, especially from a psychological standpoint, because nobody likes being sold to.
Of course. I mean, one of my business coaches always talks about building that know, like, and trust. And that's obviously what you're able to do. Once a person feels like they know, like, and they can trust you, they're going to buy all day long. And especially when you're doing it in person. I know it's a little bit different for you when you guys are cold calling, but maybe that's just that first step. The second step is meeting Leo in person and shaking their hand and then, talking about their actual projects that they have. So, do you think that there's, obviously they're buying Leo and now you're teaching that to your sales guys on how to sell them. Do you think there's some special sauce there that's made you, I guess, become this chameleon? Is there something in your history, like where you've learned to be like, were you a popular kid in school where you're like super outgoing? Were you like this kid that was like picked on? So you like really had to like put forth effort in order to like perfect your sales skills. Like, where's this come from, Leo? Because pre-show, you and I determined you're a young kid. I think you told me you're 25. You're absolutely crushing it, dude. You don't speak, in my opinion. I'm knocking on the door 50. I'm old enough to you guys to be Leo's dad. And this kid's super, like, you inspire me, man. And I say that because a lot of 25-year-olds right now, they don't even have a clue what they want to do. You're super like dialed in sniper. Like, this is what we are. This is what we are. This is what we do. And this is how I'm going to basically conquer the world. Where's that come from, man? Is that like, where's that, like that drive and motivation? Einstein would have loved this app. He cracked the code of relativity, but even he hated paper. This episode of the Foam to Fortune podcast is sponsored by FoamBid, the app that takes pen and paper out of the equation. No more crumpled notes, no more late night spreadsheets, no more guessing if you're too high or if you're too low. With FoamBid, you create professional, accurate bids right there on the job site, and they're instant and stress-free. Sign up now to get early access to the beta app at foambid.co/beta.
That's a good question, because I remember when I started, because I was in a corporate setting as like a customer service rep. And when I transitioned into sales in my corporate job, I was making good money. I was probably like, at 150K salary, 160K a year. And I was at a point where I was essentially making more money than my supervisor and making more money than my operation manager, which was my supervisor's boss. But it put me in a position where like, there's no way for me to grow within this company. Like, if I have to grow, I have to take a pay cut, and then I have to be an operations manager, which is probably going to take me 4 to 5 years to even get to that point. So I remember like I started seeing a lot of
bro. So much more stress of like having an executive title. Like, who wants that? If you can just come in, sell, and collect a bigger paycheck than your bosses and peace out and go home and like not even carry the stress with you home. What a much better position to be in. But go ahead, carry on.
So what got me is when I was transitioning out of the corporate setting, I got into online sales. And I remember my manager at the time promised me, you can make $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 a month easily here. And I got into it, and month in, 2 months in, I noticed that those numbers were not realistic whatsoever. So I talked to my managers like, hey man, like, why, like, you told me that I could make this, but like, I'm doing more than everybody else and I'm making more money than everybody else on the team, but I'm still like not even halfway there. Like what's going on? And then he tells me this question. Like, he was like, at Asurion, because I used to work at Asurion. I was like, at Asurion, how long did it take you to get to 6 figures? And I was like, well, I started when I was 19 years old, and it took me about 4 years to get to 6 figures. And he tells me like, look, Leo, like, it took you 4 years at Asurion to get to 6 figures. What makes you think that in 2 months, 3 months, you're going to come here and you can do the exact same thing that took you 4 years to do? And that was one of the most impactful conversations I had in my career, because that was true. And I was like, you're right. Because he told me that, look, the reason why you're not hitting X is because of you. Like, your calls. And if you listen to my calls at the time, yes, I was going down the script. I was getting good results, but my sales skills were not where they needed to be. And he tells me like, look, like, Leo, like, you're not doing it because of you. Like, there's literally no other factor besides you. And I remember just taking that advice. And I was like, no, that's actually legit. And I got back in. I got back into the game, started cold calling. What I learned with that manager was how to cold call. And when I cold called, like I was super timid, like super, like my first cold calls, you could tell that I had no idea what I was doing or what I was selling.
Yeah.
And if we rewind from like what you asked about in school that I get picked on, yes, I was always that one kid that was kind of weird. I kind of grew up super heavy into like this kind of cult, Christian cults like setting. So I was always suppressed. I was always like, don't do that. That's bad. Don't do that. That's bad. Like with everything, like even like generic stuff. So like it kind of put me in a position where like I have to succeed, because if I don't succeed, I am going to be that weird kid. Like that's going to be my permanent identity. And I'm like, the only way, and a lot of people say the biggest payback is you becoming successful. Your girlfriend left you. The biggest payback you can give her is you becoming, 5x of a guy that you were. Same thing with school, with work. And that's really what kind of inspired me, was like, no, like I don't want to be average, because I already know what being average is, and it sucks. And I don't want to identify with that. And I remember just like every day, just waking up and doing the same mundane activities every day, getting, 1% better, 1% better. And a lot of times, like what a lot of people don't realize about entrepreneurship is you'll go, especially when you're learning a career like sales. Like at the beginning, like sales, they promise you the world. Like when you get into sales, oh, you're going to make so much money. It's going to be beautiful. But nobody talks about
people that are selling you the job.
But nobody tells you about what character development you need in order to become that person. Because nobody talks about that. It literally takes you 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years to become decent at something. Yeah. And to become the best at it, I mean, it comes at that point. Once you're doing it every day, it gets a lot easier. So I would say, like, for that person that feels like, no, I'm just, what's that word? When you're not outgoing, when you're
introvert.
So it puts you in a position where a lot of people are introvert, but they're introvert because of their own insecurities. Yeah. So when they can get over their insecurities, and then when they realize that they're actually that person that can generate multiple 6 figures a month, you kind of get this confidence switch inside of your head where I was telling you earlier, where like a lot of people that on the cold calls, they sound nervous and scared, but it's like a thing, like, how do you learn to be more confident? And it's something that, yes, you can learn it. And yes, it takes a long time to get better at it. But in a sense, from an acting perspective, like all you need to do is switch on the super clear tonality, the speaking clearly, it's all really just a switch in your head where like, why are you choosing not to be confident? Why are you choosing to sound scared on the cold call? So once we can find like that, like pinpoint that, like, okay, this is the reason why you're not good. Let's go ahead and focus on this. It puts you in a position where like anybody, like literally like anybody that has no sales experience, as long as they have the work ethic and the character, I can literally transform them into somebody that generates 6 figures a year. And I've trained in my career, within the spray foam industry, I've trained 9 different sales reps, and every single sales reps, whether they're still in the industry or not, they've all done 6 figures worth of spray foam sales. Because from a basis standpoint, it's literally just talk to X person, offer this, and you get this result. And it becomes repetitive at the end. Like it just becomes like just an easy copy and paste game. So I would just say there's really no way to just become better, but just that getting 1% better every day. So as long as every day, and what I live by is everything I do impacts my career. Am I going to take the day, like, for example, there's days within the week where one of my sales reps might be frustrated and like stressed out. I'm like, hey bro, take the day off, like go to the park, go do something, go reset, and then come back. But make sure when you do that reset, make sure it's intentional, that like you're going to actually let go of these negative emotions that are holding you back. So when you start doing, like, even when you strategically position your off days where you're like, you know what, today I'm going to go to the gym, or today I'm going to eat healthy. When you start doing these little micro changes where like, I try, everything I eat I try to be organic, pasture raised, because I know that how I feel is how I perform. And, as simple as even picking out your diet, it impacts your career, because if you eat unhealthy and then the next day you feel bad, like you're not going to perform the same as if you just wake up feeling great and healthy. So it really just goes down to like, just everything you do everything I do is with the intention of bettering the career, the skills, and everything within, I guess, the work-life balance, not work-life balance, but the work balance.
Yeah. Sounds like you've read the book Atomic Habits as well.
Yeah, I've seen it a little bit. I've heard sections of it. Yeah.
You've quoted it probably, I don't know, 10 times, not knowing you're quoting it with 1% better and, doing the micro changes. Like that's basically what the book is in a nutshell. Great book. Obviously one of the classics, but Leo, like, I think this is a total different conversation. And as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, like a lot of times spray foam contractors, they're good at spraying foam, but they're just not good at business. They don't know how to scale and they get stuck. And that's where, myself as the marketing company can help, as well as you with the sales team. You can really help scale a person's business, because these are the areas that guys are lacking. And no disrespect, most guys start off as a contractor working for somebody, and then they slowly get tired of working for somebody and making somebody else money. So they go buy their own rig, and then now they're a business owner, like thrown to the wolves, and they don't know how to do a lot of things. So with that being said, I know that you're possibly looking at, bringing on some new clients. What's the best way for somebody to get in touch with you that's looking to possibly have a conversation with you about hiring you guys?
I would just say, I mean, my phone number is 615-788-2683. I mean, just
Ooh, just going
send me
for
a
the digits.
send me a text or give me my.
Don't be drunk dialing him, you guys.
That's funny. I did have one client last year. We insulated a house for him, and he calls me like 1 a.m. and literally just like drunk. And then the next day he's like, "Yeah, I think I drunk called you." Well, he's like, "You cold called me on my construction site," so I was like, "Let me call him."
A little different at 1 a.m, but okay.
That was funny.
Yeah, so you're just saying, have people, if they're interested, shoot you a text or a phone call, and then you'll, I
Set
guess
up a Zoom call and then go from there.
Nice, man. Any place that they can, follow you? I know you're saying that you guys as a company don't have a lot of digital assets out there, but is there a way for them to check out, a little bit more about you?
I post a lot on my Instagram stories, so I can text your Instagram if you want to link it below. We could do that. But
Yep,
I am
for sure.
very active I might not post a lot of reels or posts, but on my Instagram stories, I mean, you'll see us, foaming 4, 5, 6 houses a week. So it's
Yep.
something that, I mean, just in a sense, what I like to do is how I have positioned myself is I'll just, spam ad spray foam contractors, and they'll just see my stories and be like, "Man, like, how do you guys do it?" And it's like, "Oh, we cold call." And it's like, "Well, I cold call too, but I don't get results." And then we're like, "Hey, well, it's kind of," and then you go into the conversation after that.
Time to scale, right? Time to hire us to help take over your cold call. And obviously these guys are missing something. So
Exactly.
it's super interesting conversation for me. Obviously, Leo talked about AI and things of that nature, which is helping them, but they're really using something that is really, really basic. Not to take anything away from you, Leo, but we're going way back to like cold calling, which is like super traditional marketing, where like most time people are like cold callers, like go F off. Like, I don't want to deal with you. But Leo's gave some really, really good, tips and tricks here. Amazing conversation, Leo, with you. Super different than having our traditional spray foam contractor or manufacturer on the show. So I appreciate you coming on. Guys, make sure you follow and subscribe the Foam to Fortune podcast. The only way that we're growing this show is organically right now. Leo, amazing. Thank you for coming on the show, and I look forward to having you on to have some future conversations.
Awesome. I appreciate you, Spencer. Good talking to you.
Take care, man.
Awesome. You too.